Heartwarming act, Billionaire discovers Maid's incredible shielding of his frail father revealed. Nathan was a man who towered in wealth yet felt dwarfed by the emptiness within. The sprawling estate just outside Chicago, with its marble floors and grand chandeliers, echoed with a silence that draped over him like a heavy cloak. At 35, he had built an empire but sacrificed his family along the way. As a prestigious billionaire, he paid for everything but what mattered most: time with his aging father, John. The old man, a decorated war veteran, remained tucked away in his oversized leather chair, a shadow of the hero he once was, yearning for connection. But then came Maria. A devoted housemaid in her early 40s, she had worked in their home for years. Her humble background had molded her into a pillar of resilience. Each morning, Maria brought a spark of warmth and life to the cold, cavernous hallways of the estate. She filled John's days with laughter, drawing him out of the depths of loneliness. Their shared moments swept through the house like sunlight, softening the harsh edges of Nathan's empire. "Tell me a story, Maria," John would say, his eyes twinkling like they hadn't tea in years. She would recount tales of her childhood, of gardening with her mother, of the sweet smell of fresh flowers lining their small house. Those snippets of life breathed color back into John's cheeks, and laughter echoed through the hallways like music, something Nathan had forgotten existed in his pursuit of success. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Nathan was oblivious to all of this until one fateful evening. He returned from a business trip to find Maria and John sharing a dessert, laughter bubbling between them like champagne. His stomach twisted as jealousy and protectiveness collided. How could he let someone else fill that role, the one he had neglected for far too long? "Stay away from him," he confronted Maria, his words laced with anger. "You're just a maid, and he's my father." The laughter died, replaced by a heavy silence. John's face fell, shattered by the misunderstanding. "Nathan, she..." "No, Dad." Nathan interrupted, dread flooding through him. "This isn't right." But as John stood up, frail but resolute, Nathan felt the force of their connection. "You don't understand the sacrifices we both made. Maria offers me something you don't: companionship and joy." Tension crackled in the air. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside Nathan, a battle between a son's possessiveness and a deep-seated fear of losing his father to someone he had deemed unworthy. Suddenly, everything hung in the balance. Who was Nathan without his father? And so he stood, heart pounding, at the edge of a precipice. Around him, the storm threatened to unleash its fury. Would he choose to embrace this fragile bond or bury it under layers of pride? The answer could very well redefine their lives forever. The thunder rumbled ominously outside as Nathan's heart raced. He glanced at John and Maria, their expressions caught between understanding and confusion. Nathan's resolve wavered. He wasn't just battling them, he was fighting the part of himself that had allowed his father to fade into loneliness. "Dad," Nathan's voice softened, a fleeting whisper beneath the storm's growl. He looked at John, who wore a hurt expression that twisted Nathan's gut. "You don't need her," he insisted, though his certainty felt paper-thin. But John, now trembling yet firm, shook his head. "You're wrong, son. It's not about need, it's about being alive again. Maria makes me feel like I'm not just a relic in this grand house, but a person with stories to tell." Nathan felt the weight of that truth. The vast estate they lived in, previously a testament to his success, suddenly felt like a prison made of gold. He couldn't bear to think of John spending the rest of his days trapped within its walls, forgotten. Maria stepped forward, her eyes steady yet gentle. "I don't want to come between you two. I care deeply for your father, but I also understand your place as his son." She paused, searching for the right words. "He deserves to be happy. You both do." Her voice pierced through Nathan's defensive walls, awakening something within him. He could see the bond between them. It wasn't a replacement, it was a restoration, a revival he hadn't allowed himself to see until now. The storm outside flared, accompanied by a flash of lightning that illuminated the room and the tension etched on their faces. In that split second, Nathan felt something shift inside himself, an opening, a chance to heal. He thought of the afternoons he wasted absorbed in business deals while John sat alone. Tears stung his eyes as he faced the reality of his priorities. I didn't mean to hurt you." The words tumbled out, raw and unguarded. Nathan turned toward John, the old man's face steady but filled with longing. "Dad, maybe I've been too focused on everything else. I've been selfish." John's expression softened as he reached out, a tremor in his hand. "You don't have to bear the weight alone, son. It's time we share that weight instead, and not just the burdens, but the joy too." The storm raged outside, reflecting the chaos lingering within Nathan's heart. Yet, amidst this turmoil, something emerged: an understanding, a willingness to change. He looked at Maria, really looked at her, and that spark of realization struck him. All that warmth she brought into John's life was the kind of warmth Nathan had pushed away. "Nathan," Maria spoke softly, her voice bridging the silence. "You can have time with him. Share laughter and stories again. It's not too late." And just then, beneath the roar of the storm, a quiet hope began to bloom in the space between them. In that single moment of vulnerable honesty, Nathan felt as if he could finally hold on to the love he had almost lost. That glimmer of change was fragile, yet it flickered with an undeniable light. He knew he was standing at a crossroads, one that could lead to a new beginning or to a deeper sense of isolation. "What if I try?" Nathan's voice was barely more than a murmur, but it rang clear with the hint of determination. The idea of reaching out to his father, of rediscovering that father-son relationship, was daunting but inviting. "I can't promise it will be easy," John replied, his voice full of wisdom. "But together, we can find our way back to one another." The enormity of their journey together felt both thrilling and terrifying. As the storm raged, Nathan took a deep breath, ready to step forward, to create something new from the echoes of their past, but as they stood there in quiet connection, togetherness coursing between them, a sudden silence fell. The storm weakened outside, but internally, Nathan sensed an even larger storm brewing, the legacy of old wounds threatening to resurface. "Tomorrow," Nathan broke the silence, a decision forming. "Can we face it together?" However, just as the question hung in the air, a loud crash echoed from the study, sending chills through them all. With hearts pounding, they exchanged worried glances. "What was that?" Maria whispered, her earlier calm now replaced by concern. A new fear gripped Nathan. This was only the beginning. What truths lay hidden in this mansion, waiting to be unearthed? And could their newfound connection withstand whatever came next? Nathan's pulse raced as he and the others stood frozen, the noise from the study echoing like a dark omen. The once warm air felt sudden and heavy, thick with anticipation. "Let us check it out," he finally managed to say, his voice shaking slightly despite his best efforts to sound composed. The earlier hope they shared seemed to dissolve, replaced by uncertainty and dread. John nodded, his hand gripping the armrest of his chair with surprising strength. "I'll go first." The old man rose, determination flashing in his eyes that reminded Nathan of the man he used to know, bold, unyielding, and full of life. "No, Dad. Let me lead," Nathan insisted, protective instinct surging. He couldn't let John overexert himself, not now when progress felt so fragile. Maria stepped in, her presence grounding. "Let us go together. All three of us," she suggested, pushing back any fear that threatened to cloud their newfound connection. With hesitant steps, they moved toward the study, the wooden floor creaking beneath them like a whisper urging them onward. Nathan felt a chill wrap around him, not just from the wind howling outside, but from an odd certainty that this was not just one small incident. It was a reminder of the unresolved issues lying heavy in their lives. As they entered the study, the dim light revealed the chaos that lay within: books spilled from shelves, papers scattered across the floor. One of the sturdy oak chairs had toppled over, the source of the sound still unclear. "What happened?" Nathan asked, scanning the room. It felt as though they had stepped into a time capsule of forgotten memories, remnants of John's life before isolation took hold. John moved slowly, taking in the mess with a furrowed brow. "I don't remember leaving it like this. Everything was organized, I swear." His voice cracked, and Nathan could see the worry in his father's eyes. Maria, kneeling beside a fallen stack of books, caught Nathan's attention. "Look at this." She picked up a framed photograph, dusting off years of neglect. It was a picture of them as a family: John, vibrant and proud, standing between Nathan and a younger version of himself, arms around his sons. The sunlight poured in through a window behind them, illuminating their smiles. Nathan blinked back sudden tears, memories flooding back. "I remember this day," he murmured, lost in nostalgia. "It was the summer we went camping," John added, a twinkle of warmth in his gaze. "You were so excited that you couldn't sleep. You kept asking if we'd catch fish for dinner." Nathan smiled at the memory, and for a heartbeat, it felt like the years of distance and hurt faded away. Maria caught that gaze, the connection between father and son igniting again. "You need to remember these moments," she said softly, a hint of urgency in her voice. "They matter now more than ever." But all joy clouded abruptly as a realization fell between them like a cold shroud. The photograph, once vibrant, was clearly a relic of a time when their family was whole. "Why is this all scattered?" Nathan asked, his gut twisting at the implications. John's face turned solemn. "I don't know. Perhaps it's a sign," he replied, "old wounds surfacing. That what we had is teetering on the edge. We've lost more than just laughter." The tension filled the air as that jarring thought settled like a stone in Nathan's stomach. What else had been lost in their silence? A faint sound, a soft rustle, came from behind a tall bookshelf, drawing their attention. Was there something hidden in the clutter, something they weren't meant to find? Nathan's heart raced once again. What if it's more than memories? He wondered, a lingering suspicion creeping in. Could the fallout of their estrangement contain surprises they weren't ready to face? "Should we look?" Maria asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but Nathan could see the determined glint in her eyes. As they moved closer to investigate, the air thickened with anticipation. Would uncovering these old truths deepen their wounds or begin to mend them? And just then, before Nathan could reach out, the bookshelf creaked ominously. What awaited them behind that barrier? Could this be a turning point that shattered their current dynamic, or, perhaps, the start of understanding each other profoundly? Nathan felt the wood beneath his fingers tremble slightly as he approached the shelf. The creaking noise seemed to carry a weight of secrets long kept. Maria, standing beside him, caught his eye, her face a mix of excitement and trepidation. John, a step back, watched them both with a furrowed brow. With a deep breath, Nathan steadied himself. They needed to know what lay hidden in the remnants of John's past. He reached out, gripping the edge of the bookshelf and pushing gently. To his surprise, it shifted just enough to create a narrow gap. "Careful," John warned, anxiety creeping into his voice. But Nathan couldn't stop now. As he leaned closer, the dust-filled air mingled with an unmistakable scent of old paper and something sharper, like metal. Maria knelt beside him, peering into the shadows that loomed behind the books. "Do you see anything?" she whispered. Nathan squinted, feeling the building tension in the room tighten around them. Just as he was about to pull back, his fingers brushed against something solid. The object felt cold and metallic, unusual among the fragile pages of forgotten stories. He grasped it in his hand and withdrew. When the object was fully revealed from the darkness, Nathan's breath caught in his throat. It was an old, tarnished key, its surface etched with intricate designs and thick with the weight of history. "What is that?" Maria asked, her voice barely concealing her intrigue. She reached for the key, but Nathan held it firmly in his palm. "I don't know. But it has to mean something," he replied. The key felt like an anchor, tethering them to a part of John's life they had all but forgotten. John stepped forward, his eyes wide. That was a key to the old family cabin," he murmured, almost to himself. "It's been years since we went there. Could there be something there that ties us back together?" Nathan's voice trembled with hope, but also fear. What if what they uncovered tested their bonds further? "Maybe we should go there. It might help us understand where we went wrong," Maria chimed in, her expression earnest. John nodded slowly, but his eyes clouded with uncertainty. "I don't know if going back is the answer. That place holds memories both good and bad." "Then let us make some new ones," Nathan urged, feeling a surge of determination rise within him. "We can't keep running from our past." The thought of returning to that cabin filled Nathan with conflicting emotions. He could see the potential for healing there, yet fear of facing old hurts loomed just as large. Would it be a safe space to mend what was broken, or would it inflame what they had buried under silence? Maria's hand gently squeezed Nathan's arm, grounding him. "We'll do this together. Just like we've been doing everything." John took a deep breath, his resolve seemingly shifting with the wind. "All right then. Let us not waste any more time. We should go." As they stepped away from the chaotic remnants of the study, the key felt heavy in Nathan's pocket, each jingle echoing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. The atmosphere changed, the weight of their unspoken burdens becoming ever more palpable as they prepared to embark on this journey. Would the cabin offer the clarity they desperately sought? And just as they turned to leave, a sudden noise startled them. A loud clap of thunder broke through the calm, shaking dust from the rafters. Nathan looked back at the study, heart pounding. Were they truly ready for whatever awaited them? As they headed toward the door, glimmers of trepidation twinkled beneath the surface of hope. But one haunting question lingered in the air: what if the answers they found led them to a truth even darker than the shadows they were leaving behind? The rain began to pour harder as they stepped outside, the sky a slate gray, mirroring the swirl of emotions inside Nathan. He clutched the key like a lifeline, feeling its chill as droplets fell around them. "Do you think we'll find anything?" he asked, breaking the silence that had settled. Maria wrapped her arms around herself, shivering slightly. "I hope so. I mean, let us be honest, what if this is exactly what we need?" John's gaze was fixed ahead, his mind undoubtedly racing through memories associated with that cabin, both the joyful ones and the painful. "It was a long time ago," he finally answered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not sure if it holds what we're looking for." As they climbed into the car, the tension coiled tighter. Nathan glanced at John, whose fingers drummed nervously against his thigh. Would this trip shatter what fragile pieces of trust remained between them? "Hey," Nathan said softly, trying to lighten the mood, "remember that time we went fishing there? You caught the biggest bass any of us had ever seen." John cracked a smile, however fleeting. "Yeah, until your line got tangled in the trees, and we spent half the day trying to untangle it." Maria chuckled, her laughter breaking the growing heaviness. "Don't remind me. You both promised me a relaxing weekend, and all I got was a headache." As the car rolled along the familiar winding roads, memories flickered one after the other: the laughter, the arguments, the overall warmth that had characterized their childhood summers. But along with those smiles came shadows of loss, whispering doubts about what would happen when they reached their destination. "What if it's just empty?" John said suddenly, his voice tight. "What if it's just a shell of what it used to be?" Nathan stole a glance at the empty landscape outside. "Then we make it something new. We fill it with our own stories again." A moment of silence passed, the sound of rain pounding against the roof filling the air. Finally, Maria spoke. Whatever we find, it's okay to feel what we're feeling now. It's all part of moving forward. As they got closer, the cabin came into view, shrouded in mist. Its once bright paint was weathered, the wooden structures groaning under years of neglect. Nathan's pulse quickened. Would stepping inside stir up old ghosts or bring about a deeper understanding? When they finally parked, the three of them sat still for a moment, their breaths visible in the cool air. "Ready?" Nathan asked, unsure whether he was addressing John or himself. "Not really," John replied, his fingers gripping the key. "But let us do it." They exited the car, the weight of anticipation heavy on their shoulders. As they approached the door, Nathan noticed a familiar scraping noise beneath the floorboards, a sound that had filled his childhood adventures, the past beckoning him forward. With a trembling hand, Nathan inserted the key into the lock. It turned with a slight click, the sound reverberating in the stillness. The door swung open, revealing darkness beyond. He paused at the threshold, heart pounding. "What if," he began, but the words caught in his throat. What if this cabin was the answer? Or what if the revelations buried within its walls only deepened their wounds? His heart raced as he took a step inside. The air felt heavy with dust and secrets, and Nathan was among them, ready to confront whatever truths awaited them in the shadows. Just then, a flash of silver caught his eye. It was a tattered old scrapbook lying on the floor near the hearth. Curiosity propelled him closer, but he hesitated. Should we look? Maria wore a mixture of hope and apprehension, reflecting Nathan's own thoughts. Could this be the key to unlocking the past, or would it uncover something far more painful? With a deep breath, Nathan reached for the scrapbook, feeling the weight of their shared history resting on his shoulders, craving to reveal its truths. What awaited them inside? Hope, redemption, or perhaps heartache? A revelation was on the verge of unfolding. Nathan knelt down, lifting the scrapbook from the dusty floor. The cover was faded and fraying, but the title "Summer Memories" still clung on in a cheerful, childish script. He felt a jolt of recognition. This must have been made years ago, packed full of pictures, notes, and snippets from their summers at the cabin. Should we open it? Maria asked again, her voice a blend of excitement and caution. Let us see, Nathan replied, his hands trembling slightly as he flipped open the cover. Dust motes danced in the slanting light as they appeared in the cabin, sparkling like tiny stars. As he turned the pages, the memories spilled out. There were pictures of them grinning in the sun, fishing by the lake, and even one of a birthday cake, candle flames fluttering. Laughter echoed in his mind, but it was tangled with sadness. Nathan's finger traced the edges of the images, the days when things felt whole. Look, he said, pointing to a photo of John casting his line with a goofy expression. You've always looked ridiculous. John chuckled, shaking his head fiercely. That was a classic. Way better than your hairstyle. Maria leaned closer, brushing her fingers over the pages. This is amazing, she mused with a gentle smile. Look how happy we were. But as they flipped to the next page, the mood began to shift. It was an empty space, and a single line of writing, "We'll always remember." Nathan felt a weight settle in his chest. He could almost hear the echoes of those long-lost whispers, the laughter fading into silence. Something inside him twisted, tightening like a noose. That was, right before it all changed, he murmured. John's face morphed into a mask of uncertainty. What do you think happened? Why did we stop coming here? Nathan's heart raced. Just then, he caught a glimpse of something wedged between the pages. He carefully pulled it out. It was an old, tattered letter. Unfolding it, he read the familiar handwriting, shaky and filled with emotion. I'm so sorry, Nathan whispered aloud. This is from Mom. Both Maria and John leaned closer, eyes wide with anticipation and shock. This was a long-buried piece of their collective past, a window into the hearts that had been fractured years ago. Nathan cleared his throat, steadying himself. It says she left something behind. She wanted us to find it. John shifted uneasily. What does she mean? Nathan turned the letter over, revealing a small note tucked behind it. There's an address. As he read the name aloud, the three of them exchanged bewildered glances. That's just a few miles away. What could she be talking about? Maybe it's a clue, Maria suggested, her voice a mixture of hope and fear. Nathan held the letter tightly, feeling the weight of the past press upon them. If this is anything like we think it is, it could change everything. But deep inside, doubts gnawed at him. Could they really go back, retrace these old steps? Was it worth the risk of reopening wounds that never truly healed? Are we ready for this? John asked, vulnerability slipping through his tough exterior. Ready or not, Nathan replied, his heart torn but determined. We owe it to ourselves to find out. The rain outside intensified, each drop matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. Together, they stood at the crossroads of their past and future, the weight of their family history pulling them forward, the adventure that could either restore them or tear them apart. Let us go, Nathan said, and just as he turned to leave the cabin, he felt a chill whisk through, as if the past was urging them along. With the keys to the future in their hands and the weight of their history behind them, the trio stepped back into the storm, all while the question loomed: what awaited them at that address? Would it bring closure or lead to a deeper understanding of their fractured family ties? The rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the car hood as Nathan, Maria, and John drove through the winding roads. Each turn felt like a step deeper into the tangled web of their family's history. The address from the letter lay crumpled in Nathan's pocket, a lifeline to a past they had almost forgotten. Are you sure we should do this? John asked, gripping the door handle tightly. His knuckles turned white against the dark interior of the car. What if it's not what we think? Nathan glanced at his brother, noting the unease etched across his face. We'll never know unless we try, he said softly. I can't shake the feeling that this is important more than we realize. Maria, sitting in the back, placed a reassuring hand on John's shoulder. It's about finding our truth, she added, her voice steady. Whatever that might be. The road narrowed, flanked by thick trees that loomed like silent guardians. Nathan's heart pounded in rhythm with the wipers swiping at the rain. Memories flickered like images on the pages of the scrapbook, raw, happy moments, and the despair that had followed. As they approached the address, a small clearing opened up to reveal an old, weathered house, much like the cabin they had just left. It was cloaked in shadows, the overgrown garden hinting at years of neglect. The unsettling aura wrapped around them, thick with stories waiting to be uncovered. Here we are, Nathan announced, pulling the car to a halt. He swallowed hard, unsure what lay ahead. Stepping out, the brisk air bit at their skin, and the swish of rain accompanied their footsteps. They approached the front door cautiously, the wooden porch creaking under their weight. Nathan lifted his hand, hesitating before knocking. An age-old fear bubbled in his throat. What if they weren't meant to find this place after all? But before he could reconsider, Maria stepped up beside him. We need this, Nathan. Let us do it together, she urged, and with that, he knocked firmly. The sound echoed emptily, and for a heartbeat, silence hung heavy in the air. But then, the door creaked open slowly. A figure stood on the other side, silhouetted against the warm light spilling from within. Can I help you? A woman's voice, warm yet inquisitive, floated to them. She looked familiar, an echo of past summers. We're looking for Nathan started but faltered, the words caught in his throat. He wasn't sure how to frame this reunion or if the woman on the other side had any connection to them at all. Please, come in, she said, her hazel eyes assessing them curiously. You're soaked. Inside, the atmosphere crackled with an undertone of familiarity. Dusty frames adorned the walls, and the faint scent of lavender lingered. It did feel like home, reminding Nathan of sweeter days before everything had unraveled. As they stepped into the living room, glancing around, something caught John's eye. A family portrait hung crookedly on the wall. But it wasn't just any family portrait, it was the same one that Nathan had seen in the scrapbook, capturing a moment frozen in time. "Nathan," John whispered, his face pale as he pointed. "That's us." The woman turned to look at John's finger hovering over the picture, then back at them, something flickering in her eyes. "You've come to understand?" she asked softly. "What do you mean?" Nathan challenged, a mix of fear and hope surging within him. The woman took a breath, revealing more than just memories. "There are things I need to tell you. Things about your mother, and why she left." The room felt charged, as if the walls would burst with their hidden memories. Hope and dread swirled in Nathan's mind. Everything felt right on the verge of unraveling and, deep inside, he knew there was no turning back now. The moment of truth was finally within reach. What would it reveal? The woman stepped farther into the room, her gaze drifting from Nathan to Maria and John before returning to Nathan. There was a softness to her expression, tinged with the shadow of unspoken pain. "I'm your aunt, Clara," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Your mother's sister." Nathan felt the weight of her words settle heavily on his chest. All the pieces they tried to fit together suddenly felt scattered again. "Aunt Clara?" he echoed, disbelief mingling with an unexpected relief. We thought we lost you too." Clara nodded slowly, the pain etched in her features deepening. "I didn't choose to leave the family. It was never that simple." "Then why did she go?" John interjected, his voice barely above a whisper. The tension hung in the air like thick fog, casting a shadow over everything. Clara began to move around the living room, her fingers brushing against the dusty frames as if she could glean strength from those faded memories. "We were young. Your mother, she had her reasons. There were things I didn't understand then, things you deserve to know." A surge of emotion washed over Nathan as he searched Clara's hazel eyes. They held years of sorrow, regret, and something else, perhaps a hope that had remained unspoken. "What did she want us to know?" he pressed. Clara hesitated. "Your mother was dealing with more than any of us realized. There were secrets buried deep in our family. The choice to leave it was about protecting you and herself from the darkness. I thought we had buried it all, but it seems that darkness has a way of creeping back." Maria moved closer to Clara, drawn in by her sincerity. "You're saying we might still be in danger?" "I don't know," Clara admitted, her voice thick. "But I do know that understanding the past may be the key to feeling safe in the present." In that moment, something shifted in Nathan. Every doubt he'd ever had about their quest unraveled, replaced by fierce determination. "Then tell us everything," he said, resolve anchoring his voice. "We need to know what happened." Clara nodded, and for a moment, the three of them stood together, an unbreakable circle of shared blood and shared emotions. The rain continued to patter against the windows, a constant reminder of the storm outside and the ones lurking in their hearts. As Clara began to recount tales long buried, sealed within faded photographs and whispered conversations, Nathan felt his world tilt. All the love he thought he'd lost began to blossom anew. With every story, a new layer of their family history unfolded, revealing heartache and strength, choices made in desperation and turmoil. The light in the room seemed warmer, even as shadows flickered and danced on the walls. Each revelation pulled them closer, urging them to confront not only their past but their futures. Clara's voice dropped to a whisper as she disclosed the last secret. "There's one last thing I need you to know. Something about your family, something that changes everything." Nathan's breath hitched as he exchanged worried glances with John and Maria. The connection they sought was rising to the surface, but what could be so crucial that it might alter everything they had come to believe? "What is it?" Nathan urged, a mix of fear and anticipation tightening in his chest. Clara looked directly into Nathan's eyes, her expression a mix of urgency and compassion. "Your mother made a choice to protect you from the truth about your father, the truth about what he did." As her words hung limply, Nathan felt the ground beneath him shift. Questions raced through his mind like wildfire. What had his father done? And what did it mean for them now? An electric silence enveloped the room, charged with a raw mix of dread and possibilities. The answers lay just beyond their grasp, shrouded in mystery and pain. Nathan leaned forward, eager yet terrified. What had they stumbled into? The moment of discovery hovered on the edge. There was no turning back now. Clara took a moment, her eyes flickering away from Nathan's as if battling the memories of a painful past. The silence hummed, each heartbeat resounding in the charged air. Your father, she began, almost hesitantly, he wasn't he who you thought he was. There were things he did, things that put your mother in an impossible position. Nathan felt his heart race. Could everything he thought he knew about his father be twisted and wrong? What did he do? He pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. Clara drew in a shaky breath. He was involved with people, dangerous people. They were drawn to the power he wielded, and he got tangled in a web of deception and crime. Your mother felt she had to take you and leave, to protect both of you from the fallout. Every word Clara spoke felt like a revelation, peeling back layers of his family's facade. So she left because of him? Because of what he did? This was a truth Nathan had never imagined, and it made his stomach twist into knots. Yes, Clara replied, her voice thick with emotion. She believed he would put you in harm's way if anyone discovered his connections. Maria listened intently, her face pale. But why didn't anyone tell us this before? Why keep it a secret? Because secrecy was the only way to keep you safe. And she took that burden upon herself, Clara explained. Your mother, she thought if she shielded you from the truth, it would spare you the pain. But it didn't just protect you. It isolated her as well. The truth was weighing on Nathan like a 1,000-pound anchor. Everything he knew rippled like disturbed water. I don't understand. If she left to protect us, why didn't she just tell us the truth later? Why didn't she ever come back? Clara's gaze softened. She was scared that revealing this would bring the darkness to your doorstep. Keeping you away was her way of keeping you safe, even if it meant sacrificing her happiness. The room felt colder, shadows creeping closer. The rain outside had intensified, nearly drowning out their voices. Nathan clenched his fists, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. The choices made out of love had led to years of confusion, resentment, and uncertainty. What happened to him? To my father? Nathan's voice was stronger now, confronting the pain head-on. Did he hurt her? Clara winced, the gravity of the question ringing in the air. He regrets what he did. He changed, but that might not be enough to erase the past. You need to face him, Nathan. You deserve to hear his side, his truth. Nathan's stomach churned at the thought. He had spent a lifetime believing he was abandoned, betrayed. Facing his father now felt insurmountable. But how can I? Do I even want to know what he has to say? It won't be easy, Clara warned, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But it's the only way to find closure. To truly understand your family, to understand yourself. In that moment, Nathan was struck by the weight of his own existence, the truth nesting inside him like a coiled snake. What if all he had defined himself by was a facade? The tension in his chest tightened as he thought about the complexities of love, sacrifice, and truth. As the wind howled outside, he understood that confronting his father wasn't just about understanding the past, it was about reclaiming his future. But the fear of what that future might hold gnawed at him still. Are you ready? Clara's voice was steady, yet tinged with vulnerability. Are you ready to seek the truth, no matter where it leads? Nathan hesitated, the storm inside him raging as fiercely as the one outside. He had come so far, but now the path ahead loomed larger than ever. Tell me more about him, Nathan said, though the chill of uncertainty ran through him. I need to know what I'm walking into. As Clara began to unravel more secrets, Nathan sat on the edge of his seat. Their family had been shrouded in darkness, but maybe, just maybe, the light could break through. But what other hidden truths awaited? Would recognizing the full story bring them relief or more pain? And what if, in confronting the darkness of his father's past, Nathan discovered something even more unsettling? The storm outside raged on, but within the cozy confines of Aunt Clara's home, Nathan felt a shift, the air charged with possibility. Clara's story was unraveling like a tapestry, the threads of his family's past interwoven with heartache and resilience. It struck him how long they had hidden away from the truth, locking it behind closed doors, yet it still lingered, ready to burst forth. Your father. Clara's voice held a tremor of both strength and sorrow. He's changed. I know he reached out to me after your mother left. He was devastated, Nathan. He loved her fiercely, but the choices he made, they clouded everything. He needed time to reflect, to become someone worthy of the family he'd lost. Nathan clenched his fists, the revelation crashing over him like the relentless rain outside. Love was complicated, it tied them all in a web of pain, yet it could also be the very thing that healed. Can I believe that? Can I believe he's a different man now? Clara nodded earnestly, her eyes wells of sincerity. You won't know until you see him. But if there's one thing your mother wanted, it was for you to understand. If you seek closure, you can find it together. A wave of determination washed over Nathan. He had felt adrift for so long, battling his own resentments without understanding where they stemmed from. The time had come to put those feelings to the test, to confront everything he had buried, and by doing so, rebuild a connection that had seemed irreparably broken. Let us go see him, Nathan said, surprising even himself. It's time to face the past. John and Maria shared a glance, both startled by Nathan's sudden boldness. Then, a spark of understanding passed between them. This was more than just about confronting a father, it was about facing their own truths and supporting each other through the storms they'd weathered separately. Together, Maria said softly, smiling genuinely. We'll face the darkness together. With that, they stepped back into the rain, its rhythmic patter echoing their collective heartbeat. The road ahead felt uncertain, yet potential flickered like a beacon amidst the downpour. They climbed into the car, the atmosphere charged with anticipation, a sense that change was imminent. As they drove toward the familiar address, memories flooded Nathan's mind, the warmth of childhood laughter, the sting of too many unspoken words, and the ache of isolation. The scenery blurred past, a silent witness to their transformation. It might be uncomfortable, John cautioned, his voice tight. But we need to be honest. For each other, and for ourselves. Nathan nodded, his heart thrumming. No more secrets, he affirmed, feeling a newfound strength. We've suffered enough. The approach to the old house where his father now lived felt like entering the lioness' den. The same way Nathan had felt vulnerable as a child, he now found himself trembling with the weight of the moment. Careful steps led them closer, the past echoing with every footfall. Are you ready? Maria turned to Nathan, the warmth of her gaze anchoring him. I don't know, he admitted, swallowing hard. But I'm willing to face it. They stood before the door, the wood worn with years of neglect, but Nathan felt resolute, both terrified and compelled. He lifted his hand, heart racing. The moment hung in the air, suspended in time. As he knocked, the door opened, revealing his father standing there, older and frailier than Nathan remembered, yet unmistakably still the man he was, human, flawed and achingly familiar. Their eyes met, a torrent of emotions crashing between them like waves on a shore. Nathan, his father breathed, voice shaky, emotions heavy. I've been waiting for this moment. Nathan's heart pounded in his ears. Dad, I want to understand what happened. All those years, why didn't you ever reach out? It was a simple yet vulnerable question that hung between them like a fragile thread. His father took a step forward, the weariness of regret etched across his face. I didn't know how to face you. I was ashamed of what I had done, the choices that led your mother to leave. I thought I was protecting you both by staying away. In that moment, Nathan's heart softened. He could see the pain etched into his father's features, the burden of regret that had been carried too long. I want to hear more, Nathan said, voice steady. I want to understand. Can we try to rebuild this? With a shaky sigh, John's eyes filled with unshed tears, a glimmer of hope igniting amidst the sorrow. I would do anything to mend what I broke. The past felt heavy, like an anchor pulling them down into darkness, yet Nathan saw a glimmer of light, a chance to redefine not only their relationship but their entire family legacy. Together they stepped inside, warmth enveloping them against the chill of the past, and as the door closed behind them, tears glistened in Nathan's eyes, mixing with the realization that they were about to embark on a new journey, armed with the truth. They were no longer bound by silence but by honesty, courage, and love, the very things that would lead them towards a future filled with possibility. As the storm outside began to ease, the sunlight peeked through the remnants of dark clouds, illuminating the path forward. What had once been fragmented began to coalesce into something beautiful. The three stood hand in hand, immeasurably stronger together, bound by hope and a fragile yet resolute love ready to blossom. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it's crucial. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. The journey continues with you.